What's going on, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of the Chel Stars podcast. We apologize for taking a week break, but I think from here on out, every week we're going to be rolling with episodes. I think we're all good and done with our vacations. So today we're going to have another good one because we have everybody back in action. It's myself, Max, Corey, Kyle, and Aaron. So lately there hasn't been any crazy news around the league. So what we're going to do is, with the season coming up in a month or so, we're going to be talking about our top 10 goalies and top 10 defensemen in fantasy. And this is kind of strictly based off our opinions, based off stats, and just kind of who we've had in the past that we've seen shine and do well in fantasy to help us actually get wins. Max, I'm going to kick it off to you to start it off.
Perfect, thank you. So I'll just quickly go over a few news, articles that went through in the past 2 weeks while we were on our hiatus there. So it happened just a few days after the Islanders finally signed someone in free agency. Well, at least you can say free agency. It was a few of their RFAs, Romanov, Dobson, Bellows, a few of their other AHLers, all signing back with the team, most of them being bridge deals. Not much to say here. I mean, they obviously lost out on Kadri, so a few days after that, they decided, okay, well, I guess we'll just sign them. I don't think many of us have many opinions.
Yeah, at least they finally did something.
Yeah.
Lou finally woke up.
Yeah, back on his nap now, so we're all good. Other than that, I mean, we had another few depth signings. Kessel going to Vegas. Interesting deal there. With them having all the LTIR money, they decided to bring in a bit of reinforcements for 1 year, $1.5 million. Can't go wrong with that. Going for that consecutive games played record. That'd be cool to see. Not with Vegas, though. Let's see. I mean, other than that... Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, I think that's a good signing for Vegas. And I bet Kessel's happy to be out of Arizona, which he probably desperately wanted after the first game he's played there when he first signed with them.
Yeah, you saw, I think there was a thing, he dissed Arizona almost immediately with that. I think it was something, I don't know how out of context it was taken, but he said it's nice to come into a team that like wants to win. So, interesting.
I didn't see that. That's funny, though.
I don't think it was blown up, so who knows how accurate that is. Corey, any opinions? You want to say hi?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. It's a very Vegas signing to me. I hear this, and I'm like, of course Vegas signs a big name. Only thing I would say about Phil Kessel, he's a top 6 player. He's not really someone who's going to be a grinder, and if he's not scoring, he's not bringing anything else. So he's got to be in that top 6 role, but could be a good fit for Vegas. I don't know. That's all I got.
Yeah, it's not much there. Depth signing or top 6, who knows with Vegas. Another news coming out of Vegas: they traded for Adin Hill from the Sharks. I think it was a 4th round pick in a couple of years.
4th.
So 4th, there you go. Good memory, unless you're looking at it.
I remember that for some reason.
Okay.
I think it's because I looked at it right before we started recording.
Yeah. I mean, another goalie to compete for their crease since Leonard's out. We talked about that last podcast. Cool. Moving on. Today, actually, Ottinger finally re-signed in Dallas, going with a bridge deal, I would say. 3 years, $4 million a year. Pretty good deal, especially if you can carry over what he did in the playoffs, I would say. I think everyone here can say that it's pretty good.
Yep.
Played unreal in the playoffs, so especially with the new coach that they got, I can see them being a lot more of an offensive team, which might not bode well for the goalie, but it'll bring some excitement back to Dallas Stars hockey.
Yeah, I mean, that's someone they've definitely been wanting to re-sign for a while. they still have the big Jason Robertson to sign. Who knows when that will get done, but
Probably once this is dealt with now. It could be pretty shortly.
yeah, you would assume. I thought they might be signed within the same hour, both of them, but that's not the case.
And he's an RFA at the end of this deal too, which is
Yes.
unreal.
That's, yes, good.
To have that kind of team control still. But
Yes,
yeah, they need to
exactly.
get Jason Robertson re-signed with not very much cap room. That should be interesting.
So we'll see there. Another thing, last point here until we move on into some fun fantasy talk. I know this might be boring, but hey, we'll cover it real quickly. Tage Thompson, I believe 2 days ago, signs a monster deal, I would say. 7 years, 7.1 blah 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 number at the end of it, starting next summer. So you're looking at a guy who got paid big bucks, and I know we've talked a few podcasts already about this, on how these deals they're signing are almost based off potential, and this is a prime example again. Somewhat young player going for big bucks, essentially.
He's crazy good, though. He's got a wicked shot. And he works well, believe it or not, with Jeff Skinner and his other line mate.
Yeah, had a pretty good year. I mean, look, they're hoping to, that he can carry that over.
Yeah, one good year is a lot to bank on somebody who hasn't really proved himself that much for now. Being stuck for 7 years, I mean, hopefully it works out, but you never know.
Yeah. So, and hopefully, I mean, that's true. Mikey made a good point. It kind of helped Skinner this past year after you look at his contract, what he got paid with Buffalo. They hope to God it does not turn into a similar scenario with that, because their rebuild's turning the corner, I would say. But this could kill them, to say the least.
Or not. Positivity.
Yeah,
Go for it. Yep.
yeah, stop with the negativity.
Oh shoot, I shouldn't talk then.
Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
Oh no.
I was looking at a bunch of stuff about like the analytics on him,
Of course you were.
and
I think I know what he's gonna say.
and basically, if he continues to perform, like, the value of his contract will break even. If he takes even a small step back, which he shot the puck unreal this year, like one of the most inflated shot metrics in the league. So I don't see him scoring 38 goals again next year. He's gonna drop off a little bit, I think, and I don't know if that contract's gonna look good for the next couple of years. I mean, I could totally be wrong. He could just be one of the best shooters that NHL's ever seen, and he's gonna be worth every dollar of that contract. But it's a real risk reward contract where there's a very good chance that he doesn't perform up to what Buffalo's expecting. But like, good on him for signing that deal, because that's gonna give him a lot of security. And I think as well, if you look at it from the point of view of like Buffalo just hemorrhaging players, like they couldn't keep Eichel, they couldn't keep O'Reilly, they've had issues keeping any goalies whatsoever. Like, signing this guy to a 7-year deal means more stability. If they overpay him a little bit, I think that's, from their point of view, all right, because they have a core now. They can kind of build off that.
Yeah. Do you think this? Yeah. Do you guys think that it also could be like? Obviously, he's not like a McDavid or like anything like that, but like, could that attract like, players that are free agents wanting to sign because they're like, oh, hey, we get to play with this guy because they kind of know what he's about, and he can score goals and they'll get points with him.
Be a factor, yeah. Because I mean, you don't really want to go somewhere where the team could be completely different in a year or two. You want to know what you're getting into. So, yeah, I mean, good to have somebody there long term for sure.
And the fact that he's like 6'7", I think 6'8".
I believe so.
Like,
yeah,
Jeez.
he's a
like,
tall tall guy.
He's a big boy. He can hold his own, so it's not like anyone's gonna have to like stick up for this guy at all. Like that's just one less thing for people to worry about as well.
Yeah, 6'6" it has on here, but out there he's a monster.
Yeah.
So, I think we'll move on here. So I think all of us are eagerly waiting to talk about this. We've been discussing this for behind the scenes for a while now. We did our homework behind the scenes. We all filled out our top 10 fantasy goalie and defenseman rankings, according to our essentially scoring, I would say. So the way we do it year to year, I believe it's kind of known as like a bangers league. So it's points, hits, and blocks are kind of the main ones. If I'm missing a power play points, shorthanded, so it's kind of a bit of everything, but hits and blocks do play a factor. So it's not just strictly points. So that might impact a few things, and we'll get into that as well. Shots as well, yeah, that's a good one. Plus minus, but that's not much, so... So we're going into Aaron's domain here. Shout out. We've talked about it before. Maybe all this talk about her always winning will jinx her this upcoming year.
They're trying so hard to curse me.
I hope so.
We're all hoping so.
It's not gonna work.
So I think it's only fair, dude, that we start off. So we're gonna kind of take it two at a time. Talk about two, goalies, up 10-1, and then we'll give kind of like a dark horse candidate, who we each personally think will do, either really good or will even exceed expectations this upcoming season. For goalies, I should also note that the main factors are wins, saves, shutouts, and goals against. So.
And losses.
Yeah. Well,
points.
yeah, losses. Yeah. So none of that. So it's more or less everything taken into account. So I'll start us off. So we averaged out our rankings based off our top 10. Coming in at number 10, we have Tristan Jarry. Pittsburgh goalie. They've re-upped a lot of their core to stay the course this year. So it's looking more or less the same. Their goal... They're looking like a playoff team again, I would say. Based off what they can do in the playoffs, we'll have to wait and see. But I can see Jarry being a pretty good goalie. He always been pretty consistent, other than that one playoff year. So, I mean, that's more or less all I have to just kind of say with him. I'll pass it off since I've been talking a while here. I'll pass it off to Aaron if she wants to start us off.
Yeah, I would just kind of agree with all that. My ranking had Jarry in exactly position number 10, so I like that worked out. I am curious, Kyle, you thought he was worth 7th place. Why do you think he is that high?
Great question.
Did you mean to do that?
I'm like looking at my rankings. I'm like, why are some of these guys in these positions?
You have...
Like, compared to our 7 that are realistic, yours is a little bit hefty, but...
Well, it's... Yeah. I don't know why I pushed some of these goalies down the list so far.
Jarry's consistent, but he's never been that high in our rankings.
I just see, like Pittsburgh came off a down year last year where they just battled injuries all year. I'm hoping, and I think a lot of my ranking here was just saying, like, Pittsburgh can't be as injured this year. Pittsburgh's a pretty deep team up front this year. I think Pittsburgh's gonna put all those pieces together and make one last run at the cup, and I think Jarry's gonna benefit off that quite a bit from our fantasy league perspective. So I think that's why I had him a bit higher. I see Pittsburgh having a better chance to make the playoffs than the Canucks, and when I made these rankings, the Flames, because they didn't have Kadri, so that's why I had them a bit higher up there.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and that list is interesting. So we'll be going to you a few times this.
Oh,
list.
do it. I love to talk about
You
this
just love
kind
to
of
talk,
stuff.
Chad.
I just love to talk, and yeah, these rankings are whack. So but I'm willing to defend them.
You did it on purpose, I think.
Yeah. I just want more airtime.
Yes.
What are you laughing at, Mikey?
You're funny, dude.
Thanks.
So, all right, we'll move on to number 9 here. So, I still have a lot of hard feelings with this guy because I had him last year. Connor Hellebuck. I think I picked him as the second or third goalie in fantasy last year out of the draft, and he was a major disappointment. He plays a lot of games. That's, fair to him. That's good for fantasy, but when it came to wins and goals against, it was a disaster. I think he got pulled a lot of nights. Whenever he faced the Avalanche, I think he let in about 6. But it was nice because I had Landeskog, so he bagged a couple hat tricks.
That evens out.
It was nice nights, except for the negative points for him. But he was a disappointment. I had him ranked 12 in my list, so it comes just a little bit higher than that. I kind of want to pass it off to Corey because he has him ranked at number 6, and I'm curious as to why.
Yeah. I had Connor Hellebuck ranked at number 6. Maybe I'm living in a few years ago, but like you said, the guy plays a lot of games. So why wouldn't you take him in fantasy? I mean, he plays a lot of games. Winnipeg, I don't really know what to. Hard to expect Winnipeg. I don't think they're going to be top of the cream of the crop, top of the league there, but he plays a lot of games. He'll get wins. He'll get some shutouts. So yeah, I'd put him at number 6. I mean,
The game's played.
you know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a lot of games, and he's a good goalie, so he shouldn't have a lot of bad nights. Like, he shouldn't be getting pulled a lot, consistent. So he's a consistently top tier goalie on an average team. So yeah, I would stand by where I put him.
Hellebuck's an
That's
interesting
actually-
one to me because we've always sort of drafted him like the top 3 maybe goalie picks the last few years, and I feel like him as a goalie hasn't really got that much worse. I guess it just goes to show how Winnipeg's been performing the last couple years, seeing he's dropped this far down our list.
Yeah.
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 Like Corey mentioned, we all really don't know what to expect with Winnipeg this year. I think that kind of played a big part into these rankings, because if they did more with their free agency or saw a trade or two there, then maybe we'd have more clarification, but I don't think there's really much to go and do on it.
I just see them getting kind of consistently worse every offseason the past couple of years, so that's why I don't have him super high on mine. But if he was on Carolina, he'd still be like a I mean, Carolina's a pretty good team, but if he was on like Calgary or Edmonton, he'd still be like a top 3 or 4 pick in my mind.
Oh yeah.
It's just because Winnipeg is not going to be good this year.
Bold prediction. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Kyle, do you want to give us number 8?
Yeah. Number 8 was. Wait, who had him last year in this league?
Oh,
Was
no.
it?
Wow.
Was it Aaron?
Back, Kyle. No, it was not me.
Was it
Was
you,
it me?
Kyle?
I think so. Okay,
Yeah,
so
you
I'm in
don't
like 3
remember?
different leagues. Well, okay, I'm in 3 different leagues, so I forget what players I have in what league. I know that I had Saros, and he was killer for me. Anyways, number 8 is Saros. He was absolutely unreal last year. Shutouts, stealing games. The guy was a stud. In my rankings, I have him ranked 3rd, which was way higher than everyone else. Where did Corey didn't even have him? Sorry, I'll pass off to Corey in a minute here. But then Aaron, Max, and Mikey in that 7-8 range. Yeah, Saros was unreal last year for me, so I'm holding that close to my heart, even though I don't think Nashville's going to be good. I still think Saros is.
I'm gonna interrupt you for a quick second because you keep saying you had Saros last year.
In one of my leagues,
Saros
I don't know.
In our league, do you remember?
Did I drop him? Did I drop him?
Yep.
Yes, you did.
Okay. In one of my other
Very
leagues,
quickly.
I had him. In one of my other leagues, I had him all year, and it was fantastic.
And then
You were the victim of the vulture.
you
Actually,
picked him up.
Yeah.
And finished 13th in our league on somebody else's team.
was it Rayhan actually?
It was Rayhan.
The
Yep.
vulture.
Oh shit! Sorry. Fuck.
Don't worry, we have an explicit warning.
Perfect. Okay. In one of my other leagues, then I picked him up in free agency, and he was unreal. Like the guy was a stud, got me so many points. But I guess I dropped him in our league, like an
Yeah, I'm sure
absolute
Rayhan would
dummy.
agree with
Yeah. If Rayhan's listening, I'm sure he agrees. Corey, no Saros on your list. What do you see in there?
Yeah, I think I just not a big I'm just not super confident in Nashville. I think they're regressing. And I guess Saros maybe I've never had him in any of my pools, but I don't see any when I compare him to someone like Hellebuck, like what has Saros done to make me pick him over someone else on an average team? He doesn't really seem like I don't think he has a history to back up a top 10 pick. That's all.
Fair enough. I hope he proves you're wrong this year. I hope that it's. I don't know if I'll draft him just because of the uncertainty with Nashville, but we'll see. Anybody else want to add on to Saros at all?
No.
Nah, I think we're good. We hit the. We pretty much talked.
I mean-
about much.
Kyle, did you just say you don't think you'll draft him because you don't know about Nashville, and then have him number 3 on your list?
Because he was so
What?
good last year that and yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
It's supposed to be your rankings.
I don't
These-
think Kyle understood the assignment.
I really like Saros. I don't think I would draft him as high as. Oh man, I don't know.
Third.
So
Can't
your
give away
goalie list is
secrets.
just messed up.
Can't give away secrets.
Maybe we should.
Maybe
just
I'm
post
bluffing
Kyle's
you.
goalie list on our Instagram. See how people judge it.
Yeah.
How about no? Moving on to the next one. Okay, did I have this guy last year?
Yes. I think.
Okay,
I
so
believe you
number
picked him up.
7.
Yeah.
Number 7, Sergei Bobrovsky. I think I picked him up in free agency, right? Because nobody
did,
drafted him because
yeah.
they're like, Bobrovsky's going to be shit like he was like the 3 years prior to that. But Bobrovsky had a great season last year, except for like the last month and a half was pretty shaky. But yeah, we had him collectively 7th. I had him 6th on my list. Everyone had him pretty
Yeah. they were all
high.
very similar.
I think the highest ranking for him was Mikey and Aaron. Mikey, you had Bobrovsky 4th. What do you see in there?
I mean, he's on Florida. You obviously see what Florida did throughout the regular season. Their playoffs were kind of cut short. Unfortunately, everybody thought they were going to be contenders for the cup, but
Not me. Not me.
yeah, besides Corey, he's the only one apparently.
Thank you.
But I mean, with Barkov, Huberdeau, Uyghur, these guys are scoring they were averaging 5-6 goals a game, and Bob was getting a bunch of wins and a bunch of fantasy points doing so. So I had him a little bit higher.
Do you think that
So-
carries over to next year now, though, with how different Florida's looking?
Yeah, I think they're still going to do well because it's not like they added a shitty player. They got Matt Tkachuk, so it can go either way. Bob's been really good at times, and when he plays really well, he's in the zone and he'll win you the game. But if he's off his game, then it's gonna be a bad night.
Question for Aaron. Obviously,
that?
Spencer. Aaron, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Obviously, Spencer Knight is Florida's like stud prospect in goal. He played a couple all right games last year. He didn't really get involved too much. Do you see him taking part of Bobrovsky's crease away this season?
I don't think so. Unless Bobrovsky really goes downhill. Like, if he keeps up his play, like, I mean, obviously Knight will play a little bit more, but I don't see it being any less than like a 60-40, if that.
Yeah, definitely.
They brought in Paul Maurice, correct? As the head coach.
Yes.
Yes, and he obviously rode Hellebuck like crazy. So it'd be interesting to see if that carries over in Florida. But who knows?
That's a really good point.
Did Winnipeg have an option as a backup goalie? They'd ride the same amount as Hellebuck?
No, but...
Laurent Brossois.
Yeah, let's see.
Now, I am curious, Corey, you don't even have Bobrovsky in your top 10 at all. Is that just because of how Florida's looking this season, or what? Is there a reason to that?
Yeah, I don't like Florida. You pretty much said it. Whoever just said it, they were like, the 3 seasons prior, he was terrible, but he has a good year, so now everyone has him so high again. No, he's inconsistent. He just had 3 terrible years. Florida is always falling short of, well, they're always not doing good. So no, I'm not picking Bobrovsky in my top 10.
Fair enough. All right,
Nice.
let's move on to number 6, which, I mean, usually on this podcast there might be a little bit of Canucks bias, but I think this one kind of sells itself. Our number 6 pick is Thatcher Demko. He definitely deserves that spot, I would say. I mean, Kyle, you are disagreeing to the Canuck bias, aren't you? I can hear you laughing in the background.
I just find it funny that he's so high on a team that has so many question marks, but I also had him 8th in my rankings, the same as you, so... Yeah,
so I did only have him 8th, but I mean, I can see why he deserves 6th, because he is a full-fledged starting goalie. He's only getting better. I mean, he's been the one to hold the Canucks in so many games, and as we've thought that maybe the Canucks are improving this season, obviously maybe his stats are going to improve as well. Let's see, I'll pass it over to Max for your thoughts.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I was just nodding my head along with Aaron's points. I'm hoping the Canucks are going to be better this year. They had a rough start last year, as we all know, but with Boudreau, they kind of picked it up, and Demko's numbers really shot up there. As someone who had him in fantasy, I loved that. And he gets, with Canucks' defense, he faces a lot of shots, and he's pretty good, so he saves a lot of them. So that's always nice, and that, I think, is why I ranked him exactly number 6 in mine. Yeah, you know what you're getting with him, and I think he's just scratching the moon. He could be, possible choice for the Vezina this year. That'd be cool to see.
Hot take.
Yeah. Where?
All right, let's move right on to number 5. I have a soft spot for this guy because he did help me win the championship last season. Jacob Markstrom. So the reason he ranks this high for me personally is just because he plays so much. Most goalies don't really play the back-to-backs in the regular season schedule, but for some reason, Markstrom was constantly playing those ones. He had, just so many shutouts last year. He just makes a ton of saves. Just all around, like, a little bit biased maybe on my end here, but he definitely earned that spot in my opinion. Let's see, Corey, you had him pretty high, actually, number 4. Do you want to give us a reason for that?
Just the monster year he had last year. Calgary is obviously competing. They have added to their team. They've bolstered their defense, and Markstrom has shown almost every regular season for a few years now, he's gotten better.
Sorry, go. Finish up, Corey.
Yeah. So I think he's a great fantasy pick. And actually, Calgary seems to have added a few pieces to their defense. Mike, how do you think Markstrom will do with an even better defense in Calgary?
So I had him number 6, and I think that's a pretty solid spot for him on my list. I agree with whatever Aaron said because I was going to mention all the shutouts he did, and he honestly carried Calgary multiple games. You would see, even against the Canucks, he would just perform them, and then we'd all regret why we didn't get to sign him at points. But he just got a ton of shutouts, and he played extremely well for them. And with their defense core, which is still pretty good, and like you said, Corey, they're trying to win a cup. So he's only gonna keep shining, in my opinion.
All right, so Kyle, back to you. You have him number 9. Why?
Yes. For me, and the timing of the rankings that we were doing and stuff, I did it before they signed Kadri, and now I would have him much further up the chart. But at the time, I just didn't think that Calgary would be a team that would be competing for division spot. I thought that they might be competing for a wild card spot at the time, and no matter how good Markstrom is, if he's letting in more goals than the other team, and he's getting those goals against negative points and the loss negative points, then that would push him down my rankings.
So just to put you on the spot here, where does he land then on your rankings now that those changes have happened?
Oh damn. I'd probably have him at 7 or 6. I still have Anderson and Campbell ahead of him because I think Carolina and Edmonton are going to finish stronger. So I'd probably have him at 6 now, which is higher than Max.
Okay. So back to Saros again. You have Saros 3. So do you think he would be better than Markstrom?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like we're just grilling Croc. I feel like we're just grilling him.
We'll bring that up a few times.
It was a confident yes.
Trying to save face with myself for whatever I wrote down on this computer. I think the Saros pick up there was very lofty.
Yeah.
I think it all depends. I think Nashville and Calgary might have pretty similar seasons, so yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like I have to go through this and redo my rankings before our fantasy draft. So there's a lot of work to be done. This is why I finished last year.
You don't want to repeat here, Kyle. Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't want to repeat. I had a couple of strong seasons, and last year was just not great. Let's move on, please.
All right, Mikey, number 4.
All right, so we're finally in the top 4, and this is a great ranking for this specific goalie, Jack Campbell. Mr. Campbell is playing in Edmonton now with McDavid and Draisaitl, who are going to get him wins. As we all know, they're the top 5 players in the league easily. Their defense is a little bit questionable, so that's what kind of worries me. But he is a great goalie that we've seen play pretty well. And just like the forward core he has in front of him will score goals. All he needs to do is save some pucks, and I think he'll be okay at number 4. And I think the rankings here, by looking at it, myself, Kyle, and Aaron all had him at number 5. So it kind of evens out there. I think he'll do well, and I think these rankings that we have for goalies will kind of be like the actual rankings when the fantasy draft happens. But I'm curious, what are your guys' thoughts, Max? What do you think? You think Campbell at number 4 is a good spot for him?
Yeah, I mean, these rankings are so difficult. I know I could easily justify Campbell dropping a spot or 2. Markstrom might have a few spots below Campbell currently, so it's hard to justify, but I believe Edmonton got better this offseason. Added a few, re-signed a few pieces during their cup run, or playoff run, shouldn't say cup run. So, I'm looking for them to continue a strong season, and that'll help Campbell. Hopefully, even being out of the Toronto spotlight will help him as well. Because I know he had a great start to last season, and then when he started faltering off, my God, the media was on him. So, we'll have to see how that plays out. I can see him definitely finishing top 5 for sure, though. That's where I am.
Yeah. All right.
It all depends on if you're. Sorry, Mikey. It all depends on if you get the Campbell from the first half of the year or the last half of the year last year.
Exactly.
All right. So number 3, the one that I'm most excited about, who I've had on my fantasy team multiple seasons in our league, Freddie Anderson. Freddie Anderson plays on Carolina. Carolina's a top team. He gets wins, plenty of shutouts, and his save percentage and goals against is pretty ridiculous. And I believe we all had him at number 3, except for a certain somebody that we've already drilled on this whole podcast. Anderson at number 3 is a fantastic placement for him, and I'm going to be picking him up this year in fantasy, so don't touch him, please. That's my goalie.
Kyle, that's almost the closest you've been. You're only one below us this time.
Are you serious right now?
I was going to say that's the closest we've all been together, but of course Kyle's the one that ruins it.
Hey, I want to be different. I want to be my own person. Maybe that's why I had Saros that high, because I didn't want to have the exact same top 3 as you guys.
Yeah. So
but
is the one.
But anyways, Anderson, just from looking into players, obviously, whenever I draft them, you have to do research, follow them. Anderson's just had consistently good stats when he plays. Unfortunately, he got injured in the playoffs, so he wasn't able to play last season. I think Carolina would have made it farther with him being on the team. But third place, in my opinion, is perfect for him.
It was before playoffs he got injured, though. So the whole playoff.
Yeah, before playoffs, yeah. So. Which is unfortunate, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we can probably move on to the top 2. Corey, take it away.
Okay, I have the honor of announcing our top 2 goaltender final goalie rankings for our fantasy picks. Worthy to note is we all agreed on the top 2.
Way to go, Kyle.
Yeah.
I was gonna mess that one up. God.
So, coming in number 2, this goalie is Russian, plays in the East, played for a team that went far in the playoffs last year. Number 2 is Igor Shesterkin. So, starter for New York Rangers. We have him up here. Obviously, I'd say arguably the best goalie. One of the best goalies in the league right now. Quickly taking over that top spot, I would say. Rangers are a upcoming team. Heck, they've gone to the 3rd round last postseason. They have a ton of young players. They have a ton of players in their prime, and just a goaltender who is lights out. I think 2 is 2, and possibly 1 is a spot for him in fantasy. Anyone else got a comment on that one?
Yeah, I want to point out, in the playoffs, the very first round they played against Pittsburgh, the first game, they went into, what overtime was it, 3 or
I think it was
4 or something? Yeah, Shesterkin, he's like a playoff rookie, I'd say. He hasn't really played too many games. He had 70 plus saves in that. And he essentially, with those saves, won him that game. He didn't look tired. He didn't look gassed out or anything. And he was impressive. Just watching that game was unbelievable.
Right. Yeah, I think it's almost sky's the limit for this guy, and it's gonna be fun to watch him. I think we're looking at the next stud in between the pipes for the league. Which leaves us to our number 1, which I guess everybody can guess, is Vasilevsky, goaltender for Tampa Bay. I mean, what's not to say about this guy? He's been the top goalie for the last few years. Obviously, Tampa Bay, 3 straight Stanley Cup finals, a few monster regular seasons. So you know what you're going to get. He's their starter. He's consistent. I think injury-wise, he keeps himself in good shape. You know you're going to get games from this guy. He's going to be the easy pick for your fantasy goalie. Only thing I would say is Tampa Bay, I don't know how much better they're really going to be. I would say they're probably plateauing, but they're going to have a good regular season. We know that. They have great players. They're a great team. He's a great goalie. He's number 1.
Love the positivity on our podcast, finally.
Yeah, that was great. No bad notes. Except you kind of jinxed them with the whole injury thing I had to keep in mind, so I hope you knock on wood.
Max, that's because I want you to pick him first so I can take Shesterkin.
Bro, I can't take a goalie with my, I can't take a top 3 goalie. I think I'm cursed. With Hellebuck last year, I can't ever again. Can't do it.
So there you have it. Let me do a quick rundown, I think, of the top 10 goalies. So starting with 10, we have Tristan Jarry, Connor Hellebuck, UC Saros, Sergei Bobrovsky, Thatcher Demko, Jaker Markstrom, Jack Campbell, Frederik Anderson, Igor Shesterkin, and at number 1, Vasilevsky. There's our Chel Stars top 10 goalie rankings.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's decent ranking.
Yeah, that seems pretty spot on just from past seasons we've played fantasy.
Yeah. You just know by the end of this upcoming season, it's not going to look like that at all.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Can't wait to see.
We did have some dark horses, though, right?
We did. Pretty much all kind of grab, like I said at the start, we don't think they're necessarily going to be in the top 10. Maybe they will be, but these are all kind of players that we selected that will exceed expectations in their opinion. So we'll go through them. I'm just going to shoot it over to Kyle right away because he's been a hot topic with these goalies. So, and I'm looking at it right now. I really want to hear what he has to say about his dark horse.
Yeah, for sure. So my dark horse is UC Saros.
No.
Just kidding. No, my dark horse is Aiden Hill. Obviously, we just talked about him in the first little bit there, where he's going to Vegas for a 4th round pick. My prediction is that he's gonna win the starting job. He was a solid goalie back when he was in Arizona as a rookie. Obviously, there were kind of too many cooks in the kitchen in San Jose, so he kind of got tossed around a little bit there. But I think he's gonna have a great season this upcoming year. I was really worried about Vegas's goalie situation going into training camp, but I think with Aiden Hill in his 3rd season in the NHL, gonna get some serious minutes, and he's not gonna have a lot of competition. I think he's gonna wow the league.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah. Anybody else have any comments on that?
No, I mean, I think him and Thompson could make a good tandem, especially if they're not playing like a starter job, like 50-50, or whoever wins that starter job, like Kyle mentioned. You know, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's a good pickup for them. Cheap.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I'll just start with my dark horse then, and I'll pass it over afterwards, or whoever wants to chime in. I got John Gibson, who I know a few of you guys had him in your top 20. I didn't have him at all, though. You know, it's someone that with Anaheim, with a lot of their signings recently, they're kind of, you know, changed up their team a little bit. Better defense. I know Gibson was quite an elite goalie a couple of years ago. He had a bit of few off years now, but if he can regain any sort of form, Anaheim is looking much better into the season. And again, like we've talked about before, it's someone who plays a lot of games. So that's a big factor for fantasy managers that, need that and whatnot. So I'll pass it over to Aaron.
Okay, so my dark horse is a bit of an interesting one. Jonathan Quick. So it's interesting for me to pick him because I picked this guy up in free agency last year. I think I owned him for maybe a week and a half before I dropped him again. But I do think in a deeper league, he could be a really safe goalie to have, just looking at how LA has improved a little bit this year. I mean, he's probably still going to be the starter and play a fair bit of games, so he could be a pretty solid option for a deeper goalie in your roster. All right, let's throw it on over to Corey. Let's hear your dark horse.
Yeah, my dark horse. I had Carter Hart. I know what you're thinking. Carter Hart sucks and is terrible. I'm never picking him in my pool. And you're fair to think that way. But if we flash back a few years, remember what an unbelievable rookie season this kid had. I think it's not too out of the woods to think he can replicate that. Philly is. I don't really know how. Again, I don't know what we're expecting out of Philly, but they definitely want to do well. So, also, who is Philadelphia's backup? If you know, please go on to our Instagram, message us because I really want to know. So let me know because other than Carter Hart, I don't know who's playing goal for them. So
Weird request.
That's why he's my dark horse. I think I wouldn't be too surprised to see a comeback a year for our Hart. Okay. And let's go at Kyle. Or no, we did Kyle's dark horse already.
Yeah.
Oh, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, that's and. Those are
What about
dark.
me?
Mikey. Mikey, there we go.
Don't matter.
Send her to Mikey.
I think my dark horse is the winner of dark horses, Mr. Vinny Husso from the Detroit Red Wings. He killed it in the St. Louis season. He took over the starting spot from Binnington, putting Binnington on the bench up until kind of like end of the season. Playoffs came around, but Husso on Detroit now adds a great goaltending factor, plus the other additions that they made with Perron and Kopp and so on. A couple people on defense. I think he's gonna have a good season there.
Yeah, it's a good one.
All right, I know we've discussed a lot about goalies and fantasy, but we love talking about this. We do have D-men to do, defense. We did top 10 defense as well.
Yes, we do. And I'm going to kick us off with the defense rankings, starting at number 10. Number 10, we have Darnell Nurse. Now, from my understanding, I had him the highest, and people want to know why, so I will tell you.
I don't agree with it.
That's fair, and you can disagree. You're right. But I had where did I have Nurse? Here we go.
Set him number 6.
I had him number 6 because if we're talking point and we're talking Edmonton and we're talking the defenseman that's going to be on the ice the most for Edmonton, that's Darnell Nurse. So really, he's got to pass the puck across his blue line, and then just kind of watch, just kind of enjoy the show from McDavid and the boys. And the assist will come. I thought he had a few more points, higher points under his belt before I, immediately when I looked it up, I was like, oh geez, he hasn't even had a 40-point year, or maybe 1 40-point year. But that's okay. He's going to be on the ice. He's a minute cruncher, and they like to score, that team. So you're going to get points out of this guy if you pick him. Any naysayers out there?
Mikey.
Who disagrees with me?
Yeah, I just don't think he's top 10. I didn't even have him in my list of top 10. I had Shea Theodore over him, which seems like not too many people had besides Kyle. Looks like. I just had. I just don't think he's top 10. he definitely
mean,
has good players in front of him for sure, but yeah.
I'm just thinking Oilers power play. He's there. The puck's in the net. Points are being made.
Is he on their top line power play though? Or
not.
is it like Evan Bouchard now?
It's kind of Bouchard. I know they sometimes even run 5 forwards, and they also.
Oh, and Barry's on that team.
Barry, so
Yeah.
he's a minute cruncher, but as a guy who's owned him in fantasy for 1.5 seasons, because I traded for him this past season, thanks Kyle. He just
Yeah,
plays
no
a lot
worries.
of
How'd that go?
PK. It went well. You got a guy who went on the IR.
Oh yeah, that sucked. Gosh.
All right. Well, for whatever he's making, he better get points. So there's that. Okay. Moving on to number 9. Now this one, I don't know if I really agree with, but I will talk about nonetheless. We have Chris Letang at number 9. Now, I probably had him the lowest. Well, I didn't have him.
Not even
I'll
on
say
your
that.
list.
Yeah.
But he was pretty highly ranked with our friends Max and Mikey, who had him at 9, and Aaron, who had him at 8. Yeah. Well, I'll start with the naysaying, and then I'll probably hand it to Aaron to argue with me. But Letang, I'm looking at, okay, we know he's good, but he's 35. They're an older team. Also, this guy is injury prone. Do you really want to draft this guy for half the year? I mean, no, I don't.
No.
Aaron,
Corey, isn't Sidney Crosby 35?
Yeah. An injury prone.
And injury pro?
Yeah, but look, Sid the Kid, you can't hold anyone else up to Sid the Kid, okay? I don't care if Crosby plays 1 game in the whole year. I'm still taking him. But I'm not taking Letang. Okay, the upside isn't there. He's an averagely good defenseman that will get hurt.
Okay, so on the opposite end now here. I mean, he wasn't that high for me, number 8, but I think my reasoning here was that he's just in our point system very well rounded. Like, he hits a lot, he blocks a lot, he gets a fair bit of points, still plays a lot of ice time. So he's, other than maybe some injury problems, he's a pretty safe pick. He's done pretty well the last couple years consistently. And I mean, I guess you never know, but I do think Pittsburgh might be a little better this year, so I'm hoping that'll help his stats as well. Yeah, okay. Anybody else, any thoughts on that?
No, I think you hit it right over the head on that one. To be honest, I forgot about Thomas Chabot. I definitely would have ranked Chabot over Letang if I remembered doing the rankings, but it is what it is. Like you said, Letang is going to put up some points. He does play on the power play as well, so yeah.
Yeah, as someone who's had him in fantasy, I'll gladly take him again just because he's just so well-rounded in our format. Top power play, I'm pretty sure that's undoubtedly going to be the same this year, although who knows what his deployment will be like. I know they traded for Jeff Petrie, so that could, cause a little bit of stir there, but I'll gladly take him. That's why I had him in top 10 still. So I'll move on here. So I got the next point here. So I got the former Rookie of the Year, Moritz Seider. Coming off of a monster year for Detroit, who was not that great of a team, but my God, was this kid an exciting player to watch. Even in our format, he was a gruesome hitter, didn't take shit from anyone. He was in the nose of everyone. A player that you'd love to have. And I mean, looking forward to this season, they're looking to get better, and they, like Mikey mentioned, made a few I wouldn't even say a few, many off-season additions, and he's their number 1 guy. So I think, he's going to be even better, I hope. No sophomore slump, hopefully. So, I mean, more or less everyone kind of had him around the same rankings. Corey, you had him number 4. I want to immediately go to you on that.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty high, I admit. But hey, we'll stick with it. He's young. He's gonna get better. I would probably take him. I would take the upside that he has over someone who I kind of know what they're gonna get. You know what I mean? Like
There's a
I
lot
would
of
take.
potential still.
Yeah. Thank you, Aaron. There's a lot of potential. Gosh, he got 50 points last year. Is no small number. And Detroit also. Okay, like they've got a good goalie now. They've got young players that are getting better, like Lucas Raymond. You know, they got Larkin. They've got all these young players. So like I like the potential they're building, and I think he could have like a big year. So that's why I had him so high.
So what's the difference between the potential that Sider brings and the potential that Saros brings?
Saros doesn't bring. What potential does Saros bring?
He was 3rd in Vezina last year. He stole like half the games for Nashville. He was not a real goalie.
So you're saying you should have kept them in fantasy?
I'm aware of the mistakes I've made, and I plan to not duplicate them in the coming months.
What you're also saying is you're going to pick him up early in the draft.
That could be a play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. This is number 7.
Cool. Okay.
We need a
Get
counter
going.
of how many times we've gotten to Saros.
Yeah.
So
All right.
yeah, we can move on here. Going to number 7, another player I loved having this past season, Devon Tays. Great player. Kyle can vouch for him a lot. I'll pass it over to him in a minute here, but I mean, plays with Makar. I think that's enough said. You know, I think I'm looking at it now. He was a plus 52, which is ridiculous. Plays on the second power play on a team that is just absolutely loaded. And I mean, there's not a lot not to like here. You know, I'll pass it over to Kyle now.
Yeah, I can't say enough great things about him. It's not even like the fact that he like plays with Makar, because when he's playing away from Makar too, he's just as productive. So Colorado last year, I just had to look up this stat because I forget the exact number, obviously, but with Devon Taves last year in the lineup, Colorado was 51, 9, and 6. And there's periods of time when they were missing Rantanen, Landeskog, McKinnon, Makar, like a bunch of their core pieces. But yeah, 51, 9, and 6 when Taves is in the lineup. He's such a valuable player, and he's going to get paid in a couple of years. I'd say he's one of the top like two-way defensemen in the league. And he's just sneaky about it too. He's just really consistent, great first pass, great at moving the puck, knows how to score if he needs to, knows how to play defense. There's like he was throughout the playoffs, he was always playing the most talented players on the other team. He wasn't necessarily playing with Makar at all times. Maybe he was playing with Johnson or one of the other defensemen too. But he just super shut down role, but he's still producing in that role too. I could go on it for a while longer, but I'm going to pass it back.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, if anyone else has any points to add.
I mean, I think we can all talk a lot about his positive attributes, but somebody who didn't list him at all in the top 10, Corey, what negative attributes did you see that made him be out of that list?
What negative attributes? Oh my gosh.
Or you just forget about him?
I don't know. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, I think he's just sneaky, like Kyle said. Like, I haven't watched him play a lot, so it's just kind of like sneaky. But he's not the number 1 on the team, so yeah, I'm not picking him that high. Sorry.
He doesn't play first power play line as well. He plays second, which how Colorado operates is they'll run their first unit a minute and 20 seconds to a minute and 30 seconds. So Taves on the power play only gets maybe 30 to 40 seconds to actually get points. So a lot of the time the power plays are right off by the time he's on the ice.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. And Kyle, do you want to kick us off? Number 6.
Oh, is it my turn now? Sweet.
Yeah.
So number 6, we're going to Corey's favorite team, Florida. Looking at Ekblad, coming off a pretty gruesome injury at the end of the last regular season. I think the big question mark surrounding him is going to be just staying healthy, but all the rest of the last season he was unreal. Who had him? Was it Aaron?
Not last year, no.
I believe it was Rayhan.
It was Rayhan.
The Vulture.
Yes, the Vulture.
Perfect. Yeah, no, like, so I mean, none of us can really speak to how he performed for their team last year, but I know Erin's a big fan of him and will always pick him up when she gets a chance. Yeah.
My thing with Ekblad, I mean, I rated him 4th, which is a little bit higher than most of you had him. I'm definitely being optimistic about his injuries, hopefully not occurring again. But, I mean, with Uyghur gone, he's the guy in Florida. It's kind of just him. I mean, there's no one else really that played the minutes that him and Uyghur did. So I see him getting a lot of ice time, a lot more opportunities, and hopefully if he stays healthy, he can just perform like he's been the last couple seasons. Yeah.
Absolutely. And he usually plays a shutdown role, I imagine, because they don't really have anyone else that can really keep up with. I mean, what other teams are in the division? Kucherov, let's say, and Stamkos and Point. Like, they don't really have a lot of defensemen on that team that can keep up with them. So he's producing, and he's also playing that shutdown role.
The one thing with Ekblad, too, that kind of isn't the best is that Florida usually does run 5 forwards lately we've seen on their power play. So he isn't really getting power play time, which does sort of lower his ranking, in my opinion, maybe a little more than I had him.
Yeah, that's definitely a big factor as well, especially in our league, how far the power play points go. So, yeah. Next on the list at 5, the John Carlson. He's kind of a fun pick because you never know how he's gonna do. A couple of years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, he was far and away the best defenseman in our league, just based off of primary assists on the power play to Ovi, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then last year he was kind of a bit farther down there, so real hit and miss guy. I think we all had him in like the 5 to 7 range, except for Max. Max, you got him at 10. What's the reasoning for that?
Yeah, Aaron and I both had him in 10, and to be honest, it was purely because I forgot about him until I already had the list made. I think Shabbat was at number 10, and then I was like, oh yeah, Carlson's a thing. Oh, I guess I'll just have to slot him here. So, I mean, I can see him definitely jumping up. I know last year they had a real tough year with their goaltending, so one would assume if he can keep up his good production offensively, then defensively his on ice, save percentage will go up, and that's a good thing for us in fantasy. Not that plus minus makes the biggest difference, but defensively, as long as they have Kemper and net, so a little bit safer in regards there. So you might have a similar season for him this upcoming year. So I can definitely put him higher than 10th, but he's in there at least.
Aaron, how about you? Are you keeping him at 10 even after these discussions?
To be honest, I feel like my ranking was still out of a lot of bitterness from when I had him 2 years ago. That was when I gave Max Letang, and I took Carlson, and that was just, he did not perform like I expected him to. So, I mean, maybe that affected my rankings a little bit, but yeah, I don't know, to be honest. Maybe he could go like 8 or 9, but I don't really think he's going to be that much higher. We shall see.
I have a comment on Carlson because I had him 5. I think I had him 5th. I've had him a couple times. The thing about Carlson, which I did pretty well with him, is with you have to pair him up with another point getter, like a top liner on Washington. I had him, Ovechkin, and Kuznetsov at one point. At one point, and like every night they played, they would put up numbers. So as long as Carlson is like kind of paired up with like an Ovechkin or somebody else who gets points on that team, he's a killer fantasy pick.
Yeah,
Great advice. I like that.
Every time I faced you, it was all three of them combining on the same goal, and I hated it.
And which is why I'm saying, like, you know, if Ovechkin's getting a goal, you know you're going to get an assist from Carlson, most likely, type of thing.
Yeah.
All right. So I got number 4. And at number 4, we have Roman Josi. Roman Josi's coming off a fantastic season, probably his best season he's had. He had 96 points in 80 games, which is unreal for a defenseman. His numbers were crazy. I had him in fantasy this season, and he was my best D-man. He did all the work for me on D. I think he's going to go high again. I don't know if he's going to have as good of a season, but, you know, he's a guy that's going to put up numbers for Nashville, and I really like this pick. What do you guys think about him? Because Aaron had him a little bit lower than Ekblad over Josi. Yeah. Myself and Max had him even spot there.
Let's go.
At 4.
I mean, in our pool, I was just looking at our stats for our defense from last year. He was the second best defense last season for our points totals, but I just feel like that was such an inflation from what he's done in the last few years, and with the way Nashville's looking, I don't think they're quite as strong as a team as the people in my top 4 are on, so I just feel like that support isn't quite there for his stats as much as some other people.
Yeah, fair enough. He was also up for the Norris. I get why McCart won, but I think he should have been a very, very, very close second with the way he played.
Oh, he had a great year. Yeah, there's no doubting that, but I just don't see it carrying over as much.
Yeah, because a couple of years before that, too, he was much lower on the list. Even though he was playing unreal a couple of years back, he still didn't have like the same amount of fantasy points as he did last year. He was killer last year.
Yeah.
He had in our scoring system, he had over double the amount of fantasy points this season than the year before that. So
wow,
that doesn't really seem sustainable to me.
No, not at all.
I mean, that was a shortened season, so it's
That
hard
is true.
to...
Actually, you know what? We would have to look at the averages, but...
It's hard to kind of look at last season for points like that, but I know he didn't have the greatest year last year. This year he came out and was an animal, so Nashville looking to see if he can do that this year. I mean, I really doubt he'll hit 96 again. You can probably look for him to top out at a point per game, but I don't see him going any further than that. But that's still a great fantasy defenseman to have.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Okay, so moving on to the top 3. So at number 3, we have the man himself, Victor Hedman. Victor Hedman is just an overall, from defense to offense, to honestly any pool system, any fantasy pool system you guys run, he's like one of the top D-men you should be taking in at least the top 3 rounds, in my opinion. He puts up points, hits. He's always on the ice as well for power play. Gets a ton of minutes. Obviously, we know he plays with Kucherov, Stamkos, Braden Point, all those guys. So top 3, that's a perfect spot for him.
Yeah, I do want to point out, though, 3 of us do have him at second place. Kyle, you had him 4th, and Corey 5th. So I feel like he could have finished second in the average rankings. So I do want to hear your guys' points on that, because it clearly that did impact him not finishing second.
Yeah, I didn't want him to finish second, so I put him lower. I don't know. I think I'm just like, Tampa Bay can't be the best always. So I think like this year they're probably going to regress a little bit. Man's played a lot of hockey these last few years, you know. Probably.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna jinx it again, but that's just probably what I'm thinking.
Like last season, he had 85 points in 82 games with 65 assists.
Wow.
So
Okay. Wow.
he's crazy at feeding the puck, moving the puck. He's
Sure.
always on the score sheet all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Tampa can't always be the best, but Hedman can always be the best in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. You convinced me. Yeah. No. He's pretty good. I don't know why I put him that low.
All right, let's move into.
So you really like cider.
Yeah. I love cider. Apple cider. All right.
Okay.
All right, top 2. So coming in at number 2, we have Adam Fox, which it's kind of sells itself in that point. He had a really good season. We can all say he's only getting better. The Rangers are only getting better. He did have 63 assists, half of which were on the power play, almost a little over half, I think. So, in our league, he was pretty solid for those. He doesn't hit as much, but he gets lots of blocks. And just all around, he's been really solid. Max, you had a comment about his injury.
Oh, well, yeah, I would say he definitely would have finished higher last year in at least our rankings and just overall the leagues. I know I don't know exactly how long he missed. It was around the All-Star break, if I'm correct. So it was around 3-4 weeks. I think I'm going off of what I remember. So he would have been up there. So this year I'm looking for him to continue to be the same. The Rangers are going to be good, and I am kind of laughing right now because Aaron mentioning over half of his assists were on the power play. You can definitely thank Chris Kreider for that.
Yeah,
Reflections.
All those, yeah, you're welcome, Mikey.
I'll be expecting to do a couple more trades with you this season.
No, not you're the only one I'm not doing it with.
But, let me just
I say the same thing because he wins every single trade I do with him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Corey?
Yeah, let me just say I'm taking Adam Fox before I take Victor Hedman. And I'm doing that because Fox is going to have a better year than he did last year, and Hedman's going to have a worse year than he did last year. And it looks like, for once, Kyle agrees with me.
I was going to say, I can't believe I just said that, but I completely agree with you, Corey.
Sweet.
Awesome. Well, I feel like there's a pretty good consensus on that pick, so let's move right on to our number 1 pick, where it was also clearly unanimous. Cale Makar. Not much to say about that. He is clearly what I would call the best defense in the league right now, only getting better offensively and defensively. I'll just throw it out to the floor. Any comments about him that aren't obvious?
This guy is
Everything's obvious.
so
Everything's
freaking
obvious,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good. He's good. Like, he's good. He's good. He'll go first round for one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the one to take him? I think everyone wants him. Aaron's been the one to always take him.
It's true. Another very important key piece to my championship last year, I must say.
And probably the year before that.
Did I have him the year before that too?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe.
Wasn't this his second year in the league? Oh yeah, it was. Oh, wait, who? No, Graham had him the year before that. Graham picked him in like the 4th round.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that really concludes our defenseman rankings. We're going to go through dark horse picks here real quick because I know we probably went a little longer than we should have, but I hope you are enjoying and you've made it this far, and thank you if you have. So I'll start us off. We've talked a fair bit about Florida and their defense, and we talked about Ekblad and how he's the top man there. I'm going for the man that is replacing Uyghur in my mind, at least the best that he can do so, with Gustav Forsling. Very much a dark horse pick. I'm not saying he's going to finish top 10, maybe not even top 20 for defensemen, but he'll be probably the biggest riser in my mind. You're looking at him possibly playing with Ekblad 5-on-5. He might man the second power play unless, like we said, they do 5 forwards. I think, yeah, it could be a very interesting pick to keep an eye on in my mind. So I'll pass it over to let's go with Mikey since he got neglected last time.
Yeah, thanks, Corey, for that one last time. So I'm not going to try to be biased here, but my dark horse is Quinn Hughes, and I can back up why he's going to be my dark horse. In our pool specifically with, like, block shots and hits, he doesn't do a ton of that. He's more an offensive guy, as we know. But in a pool where it's kind of strictly based on like a point system with goals, assists, and plus minus and so forth, he puts up assists. He gets assists on like almost every goal that they're out there for, pretty much. I would say whenever they kind of get a goal, whether it be on the power play or even strength, he's always one of the guys that gets an assist. He had 60 assists last season, which is crazy. Only 8 goals. Hopefully he'll get some more this season, but 60 assists for him, being 22 years old, is a crazy number. So I'm going to put him as my dark horse.
Yeah, I like it as a Canucks fan.
Absolutely. Aaron, you got a...
Okay, so I have some interesting ones here. I have my first one here. It's a little bit of a deep dark horse. Really good, I would say, if you're in a bangers league that really values hits. He had over 4 hits a game average last year. Another Canuck, Luke Schenn. Somebody that I don't think we've ever owned in our league, but he's always sort of been the top of the free agency as far as, like, he just quite almost makes the cut. So, I mean, you never know. If you're in a really deep league looking for somebody who hits a lot, I think he's the guy to go to for that. My true dark horse, though, would be Bowen Byram, Colorado. He's somebody who hasn't really had a chance to play enough games to prove himself yet, but when he has, he's shown a lot of potential. I mean, he's on Colorado top pairing or second pairing. He's going to get good ice time with really good players, so I think he'll be a really good pick this year.
I think Kyle would agree that's a good pick.
I really like Byram. It'll be interesting to see how he fits into the defense lines next year, because Sam Girard is still kind of that top 4 defenseman for us, which pushes Byram down to top 6. So yeah, could go either way. He could have a huge breakout season, or he could kind of have a quieter season as he keeps on discovering himself and getting healthy consistently.
Yeah, how about you give us your pick for the dark horse?
Actually, can Corey go first, and then I'll take up the rear.
Fair enough. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. My dark horse pick. So another dark horse from Philadelphia. Again, I'm not really sure what to expect from them, but I'm going with Tony DeAngelo. This guy, obviously a fan favorite. Everybody likes this guy, so I don't know why he doesn't get picked more. No, obviously kidding here. I think he gets overlooked sometimes just for, the off-ice kind of issues he's caused, or maybe some people have their bias. They don't want to pick this guy or this and that, but he's performed. His last 2 full years, he's got about 50 points in each of those seasons. He's going to be manning the power play at Philadelphia. So I'm not going to hesitate to take this guy. New team, could be, obviously Carolina was very good, so I don't know what to expect with Philly. But, don't overlook this guy. I'm going with DeAngelo.
Good stuff. We'll see how that turns out.
Okay.
Philly is always that wild card. Hopefully they have a better season next year.
Right, and with Torts coaching, yeah. So I implore you to draft him and let me know how it goes.
Don't blame you if it goes poorly.
I am not liable.
Over under 40 games in Philadelphia before he.
He's how many, doesn't he has years signed, doesn't he?
2-year deal, I think.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see if he survives half a season.
Also, Ryan Ellis is, I don't know, unaccounted for. I don't know how he's doing with injury status. So D'Angelo will.
Chances are Ellis misses next season, and there's a small chance his career is over as well.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay, that opens up a spot. Okay, Kyle, who you got?
I'll take up the rear for the dark horse. My pick this year is going to be Mikko Heiskanen. Mikko? That's the first name, right? Heiskanen on Dallas. I think he is going to be much more active in the play and just being going to be able to produce a lot more since Rick Bowness is out as head coach and we are Miro. Thank you. Sorry, Mikey.
Miro.
Close. No cigar. Since Pete DeBoer is going to be head coach, I think there's going to be a lot more Heiskanen jumping up in the play and just being able to produce a lot more. I could see him because a couple of years ago in the playoffs, he was unreal. Like he was part of the reason why Dallas made it so far in the playoffs. And I could see him returning to that form under a new coach that actually wants him to play like that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's about that. Anybody else got anything on him? I'm the only one who had him in my rankings at all.
That's surprising because this guy is a stud.
Yeah, I kind of want to add him. I like that as a dark horse pick. I just wish I could have squeezed him in later on.
Yeah.
There's just so many to choose from.
There's so many, and then you don't know how they're gonna do. It's just so up and down, yeah. So I think that's it for that topic. I just got a little bit to add. This is gonna be our first edition of a fan question. One of the guys I work with, Will, started listening to the podcast, and he asked me a great question when we were filling racks the other day. And that question was, who is the most mediocre goalie in the league? So our goal with this is just to get all the listeners' answers. We're going to make a post on our Instagram. What's the Mikey or Max?
At Chel Stars.
At Chel Stars. Cool. So we're going to make a post at Chel Stars about who we think the most mediocre goalie is. But we want you guys to comment on it. We want to go over some of the answers at the start of next week's episode. So head over there, shoot us a follow, drop a comment, and if you feel like debating in the comments, keep it healthy. That's about that. Does anyone want to give their picks? I'm going to keep mine secret and bring that into the next episode.
Yeah, I'll wait till next week as well.
Yeah.
I'll probably wait mainly because Kyle sprung this on us about right before recording it, and I've been debating who mine should be the whole time. So
perfect. Corey, I'm shocked that you want to keep your answer secret.
I'm gonna keep mine. I do want to say though, we will be picking one random person from the comments, and they win a free card.
Sorry, a free what?
A free
a free card. Just kidding. No,
yeah,
but
it's on Corey. It's on.
We do really want to hear our viewers' answers. So please let us know, comment, and we will give you a shout out.
Yeah, we'd like to gain more fan interaction. Keep growing. Get as many comments going. We'd love to hear your feedback. I know it might be hard for podcasts. It's a lot different than kind of other social media platforms, but we'd love to hear it in any way possible.
Now, speaking of shout-outs, Max, you had a shout-out you wanted to give this podcast.
Oh, yeah. I brought this up because I won't go into it in too much detail, but I know the podcast host we use, we can briefly see where kind of our listeners are listening from, and I would love to shout out the individual who is from Belgium. We can see there's 6 downloads from Belgium. I'm not going to say what place, just to keep your privacy, maybe. 6 downloads, we have 6 episodes.
That's so dope.
So I'd love to, I want to know that's the same person. So if you are, please try and find us on Instagram. I would love to hear your feedback. And if you are coming back and it's the same person, I love you.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Well, I think that about wraps it up for us this week. We will be back next week with some more fantasy talk. I think we'll be getting into center and winger rankings then. So again, give us your thoughts on our Instagram. Wherever you're listening to our podcast, please review, give us a rating, let us know what you think we can do better. And as always, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.